Hello, guys, and welcome to another episode of This Week in Hollywood. This week is episode 5. Now, if you saw last week's episode, it was a little bit shorter, just me, and I said I was going to make up for it this week, and I feel like I have with a very stacked episode. Got a lot to talk about, and returning guest Reese Wigman is back with me again to talk about some movies today. How are you doing today, Reese?
I'm doing great, Adam. Thank you for having me on. Excited to be on here. Excited about this week's movie. This will be a good episode for sure. Lots to dive
Yes,
into.
I feel very good about this one. So, first going off, obviously, we are going to start with the current movies we've seen or plan on seeing. Unfortunately, I'm at a zero right now. I've got nothing that I've seen recently in the theaters. I've got nothing coming out. I'm really gearing up for this summer of movies, though. That's going to be insanely good. Reese, do you have any movies you're looking forward to or have seen?
Yeah, let's see. So since last time I was on, I went and saw Guardians 3, which I know you,
Okay.
but yep. So I hit that up. I hit Blackberry. Loved that. Was a big
I've
fan
been
of
wanting to
Blackberry.
see that, but nothing's showing it around here.
Really, yeah, Blackberry is incredible. Like one of my favorite movies of the year so far. Glenn
Yeah.
Howerton just throws heat in that. It's really a little bit of a cut above like the product biopic that we've been getting, and I imagine we're going to be getting a lot more of. Like we talked about Air the last time I was on.
Yep.
It's in the same vein of that. I would say this is better than Air, but I think these movies are really, really successful and are have a built-in audience already. Being people are familiar with whatever IP or product they're doing the biopic of. So I think a lot of these movies are going to start coming out as long as these films perform well. And then I saw Fast X, as we kind of teased
Okay.
last episode as well. Now Fast X is getting drugged through the mud.
Yes, I've seen
Everyone's
the
really
reviews.
hating
They
it.
are not good.
I I did not. I could hardly get through F9. I found Fast X infinitely more entertaining than F9.
See, that's
Like,
what I've heard is that it's like it's a mile a minute. They're throwing so much, and we won't get into spoilers just yet. If we even do get into them, I don't plan on seeing Fast X, but I've seen the spoilers. There was some insane ones at the end that people like were left baffled at. But it just seems like from what I've heard, it's fun and it's not like the drudgery F9 was.
yes, I. That's exactly right. It's like the same. If you've played the GTA video games, it's like watching a GTA movie. Like that's just like the pacing. That's the
Okay.
style. It's like it's so over the top. It's so on the nose. It's like not quite a parody of itself. Like as GTA is, it's not quite there. It takes itself a little serious still, but I don't know. I thought I had a good time for 2+ hours in the theater. So
Yeah.
what more
Are
could
you
you want?
excited for the next one?
Well, that was like what was so crazy. I guess I've been a little bit like out on my news. Like I was not under the impression that there was going to be a Fast X 1, 2, and 3. Like I did not know that going in, and so that is like insane to me. And it's crazy that Fast X is going to be a trilogy in itself.
See,
So
I
yeah,
didn't
I
know it was going
guess
to be a trilogy.
that's what I was. That's what I learned, or that's what I
I knew
read.
there's at least going to be one more.
I read that it's going to be a trilogy. It's going to be Fast X 1, 2, and 3, which is wild.
So a trilogy inside of a saga.
Yeah, which
Jesus.
like I'm
Okay.
like that kind of rules. Like it's so insane, but
It's interesting, yeah. I mean, that I
yeah,
gotta. I'm as much as I haven't even really said anything bad about the Fast and the Furious franchise, but just I haven't seen it, but I recognize that there are good ones, and there's definitely a group of people that enjoy seeing this. Obviously, a lot they make money, but it's just not for me. But I'm glad that they're doing good. I'm glad it's definitely going to make money. I mean, opening box office, I think it's like 300 million. So like
it's always
that's
money.
insane. Like, yeah. Really quickly though, I wanted to touch on there is a review on my channel, obviously, but what did you think of Guardians of the Galaxy 3?
I really enjoyed Guardians a lot more than I thought. Again, like just kind of went in. I was like, I'll go watch the new Marvel movie, and it hit pretty hard. Not to really spoil anything. I'm sure everyone who's wanted to see it has seen it by now anyway. But yeah, I mean, it probably was the Marvel movie that had like the most teeth and the most weight to it that I've seen in a long time, if not
Yes,
ever. My
I would
only
agree with that.
my only gripe maybe is like the end. I wish it felt a little more final than it did. Like it seemed like a few times I was like, oh, they're like this is gonna be final. Like they're really gonna
Yeah.
make it so this done, and it kind of just ended a little bit more, just like oh, I guess. But
Yeah.
that's a small gripe. The movie,
See,
the ride was great.
I would say the same thing. It's a weird it's not a weird movie. I enjoyed the movie. I'm kind of the opposite. I went in expecting a lot because I had heard it was the best one in a long time. I went in and I liked it. I didn't think it deserved all the praise that it was getting, but I definitely think it is a good movie, better Marvel movie than we have been getting. But at the end, see, I find it so odd that it is an end to this trilogy, and this is one of the few trilogies where you get the same director on all three for the in the Marvel franchise at least,
Yeah.
and it just wraps things up in this ribbon of this is the end of the Guardians. It brings some really good wrap ups to some of the characters, especially Rocket. I thought his wrap up was
Sure, yeah.
great, as obviously he's the main part of that story. But it's so odd that that wrap up is happening in the middle of a Marvel phase of a huge overarching thing with these huge characters that people have loved that are now up in the air if they're going to return. I mean, I know Zoe Saldana as Gamora has said she's done. Batista as Drax said he's done. You get the tease that Star-Lord's going to be back in the post-credit scene. But for how long is he going to be gone? Is he going to have any kind of stakes in the current Avengers story that they're trying to do? I found the ending to be very not weird in its own right, but weird in the things it kind of sets up for the franchise.
No, I completely agree. And I mean, my like biggest gripe with all of these movies is, and they're movies, so it's hard to do, but it's like whenever some like major shit is going down in any Marvel movie, and you're like, why are the Guardians of the Galaxies not coming to help Black
Yes.
Widow fight this person? You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like, there's always like that plot hole, and so I found it interesting. Spoilers that at the end they just kind of like go their separate ways. It's
Yeah.
like, well, there's like no finality to that. There's no like they could all like if presumably this whole big bad situation is going to come to a head in whatever the newest Marvel movie will be. Like the Guardians of the Galaxy are going to like presumably be aware of that and just like sit it
Yeah.
out. It's like
Yeah.
a very weird thing to me.
It is weird, and I mean, obvious, and this what you pointed out there is just a constant problem with the Marvel universe. You kind of have to ignore is
Right? Yeah.
why is Captain Marvel not everywhere? Because
Yeah.
she
Exactly.
is
Yeah.
extremely powerful and she can beat anybody's villain like immediately. Yeah, that is a problem. And the thing is with the new Guardians that they show, I'm not very attached to them. I mean, I know that Rocket is in it and Groot's in it, and that's cool. But the other characters, and I pointed this in my review, or I pointed this out in my review. I don't know if you saw that, but it's just like they're putting side characters in these main character positions now, and I don't know if they'll be able to hold up to the weight of what came before them.
Right. And that's why I was kind of excited. Gosh, we're really gushing on Marvel now. Like whenever Thor was going to be in the guard, like it seemed like Thor was going to be
That
in the
was could have been
Galaxy.
so good.
I was like, that makes so much sense. You know what I mean? It's like I always
Yes.
figured that's kind of how this was all going to get shaken up. Like, oh, like most of the main Guardians characters would leave, and then like the side characters would stick around, and like Spider Man would be somehow be in the Guardians of the Galaxy. Like that'd be cool. Like that'd just
Yeah.
be different. But yeah, so I don't know what they're gonna do. But
Really quickly before we jump away, then out of 10, what would you rate that movie?
oh, out of 10,
Yeah. You can go like a 0.5
okay,
if you need.
I would say walking out of there, like walking out of I would give it a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. I don't like know if I can give a Marvel movie like much higher, honestly. Like
I don't
that's
know. Did you watch my review on it? Because that's exactly what I gave it.
really was it
Yeah.
nice.
7 out of 10. So yeah, still I would recommend seeing it. I think it's still in theaters. It's been a while now, but definitely the best Marvel movie for a while. Jumping over into our movie of the week, though, we are going to be doing Annihilation this week. Now, Annihilation, Reese and I have both seen it. He told me I've seen it a long time ago, and I saw it
Yeah.
with people, so I didn't really get to dig my teeth in and try and unravel what's going on. And I wrote a lot of notes for this. I really tried to get a clear understanding of this ending, which I'm sure we'll get into. This is definitely going to be an episode on the longer side, so feel free if you need to put this in a save for later, just listening to it on a drive. But before we get into Annihilation, I'll give a brief rundown for those who haven't seen it. So this is a sci-fi movie. A biologist signs up for a dangerous secret expedition into a mysterious zone where the laws of nature don't apply. Starring Natalie Portman, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Tessa Thompson, Oscar Isaac, and written and directed by Alex Garland. Now, before we get into the movie, I wanted to know your thoughts on Alex Garland. His other movies being Ex Machina and Men. I've seen both. I wanted to know if you've seen them, what your thoughts are on him as a director.
Yes, of course. Yeah, I've seen both Ex Machina and Men. I actually
Okay.
just had a conversation with a friend the other day about Men. I did not particularly like Men at all last year. It was
I
one
did
of
not
my
either.
least favorite movies of the year. The end, I've never walked out of a movie. I almost walked out at the end of Men. Just like
Okay.
really was not a fan of it. Maybe like it warrants a rewatch. It's probably one I could like come back to and check it out. Did not dig,
Yeah.
man. Love Ex Machina. Love
Ex
Ex Machina.
Machina is great. I think it's a little, I wouldn't say worrying, but Alex Garland's movies, he's only got three, and in my opinion, they've gotten worse, every one. Not huge steps, but number one is definitely Ex Machina. Number two is definitely Annihilation, and number three is definitely Men for me. I'm the same way. He kind of, I didn't want to walk out at the end, but he just completely lost me at the end of Men, and I was just watching to see what happened. And I felt
Yes.
like you get a little bit of this in Annihilation towards the end. I think I definitely got a better grasp of it this time when I watched Annihilation and like wrote down my thoughts as they came to me. But Ex Machina is great. There's no like twist at the end. It's really just an interesting character study, that movie is. And I'm excited to see where Garland goes next, definitely.
Yeah, I think he's a really interesting filmmaker, and like you said, like his arc has kind of had this like generally the downward slope. And I think Ex Machina is pretty well just like beloved across the
Yeah.
board. Annihilation, like just maybe like a slight step down from that, and then yeah, I
Yeah, I
think
would agree.
Man was pretty divisive, like at best.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. Yeah, so that's on Alex Garland. So I'm gonna put the timestamp up now to skip ahead to when we get done with our Annihilation review. If you do want to see it and don't want to skip any spoilers, I would definitely recommend it, even if you can't understand the story fully or get lost in the ending. I think the visuals and some of the actual like thought-provoking stuff that goes on in this movie is definitely worth a watch. So yeah, I'll definitely put a timestamp for you guys to jump ahead. And without further ado, we're going to get into it here. So, what were your thoughts on straight into the opening? I think this, similar to the movie we covered a couple weeks ago with I covered with Roland Looper, this has a great opening sequence to me with that interrogation of Natalie Portman and setting up some very big questions, even giving away what happens to some of your side characters, but in such a way that is more interesting than spoilerish, I feel.
Yes, yeah, and I really noted that too. And kind of whenever we were talking about Air the first time I was on, we were talking about the inevitability in storytelling. Like Michael Jordan's
Yes.
going to get that shoe contract. Like it's such a strong play to put
Yeah.
at the beginning of you, like that she's going to go do this dangerous thing, and that she's going to come out of it. And the whole movie is eventually her being in this dangerous place, and she's coming out of it. Like she's coming out.
Yes.
She's not necessarily in danger, and like they kind of throw a little bit of a twist in there, like at the end of that. But yeah, I thought that was it. Like it keeps you a little more. Felt like it kept you a little more engaged than if it was just another like march through the jungle and you don't know what's going to happen because like you probably know Natalie Portman's going to make it out. Like just like
Yeah.
because it's a movie, so I think putting her in that position was super interesting, especially whenever you like very quickly start finding out what happened to her husband.
Yes. Which I want to definitely get into that. I just want to also point out, though, great storytelling element in that interrogation scene. You can see she has that tattoo on her arm, and then when we jump back in time, she doesn't. Which
Mhm.
obviously you won't immediately know what that's going to be, but it shows there's some change. She's obviously beaten up. I love that. She goes in with four other women, and they're listing them off, and I think only one of them she says died, and the other she has no idea what happened to. They're
Right.
obviously not there. Just Benedict Wong showing up, first of all, another guy from Marvel that just shows up for such a small role but does a great job, and him in the suit talking to her and all the scientists looking at her, great opening in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I
Then
thought it
we
was
jump,
great.
yeah, can't say anything else about that really. But then we jump into much before she goes into this situation, and I like the setup of her being the biologist in the college and her talking about cancer and the idea of these cancerous cells, which is a really big theme that keeps coming up throughout this movie. I don't know if you noticed that.
Totally. Yeah. For me, the whole movie is about cancer, right? No one will come out and say that, but it's just like the premise of the Shimmer is essentially like, what if the entire Earth got cancer and what that would look like?
Yes.
Like trying to like give a visual representation of what cancer does to a body, and like what's the best way to do that other than like showing plants and animals just like actively all getting cancer
Changing,
at the same
altering. Yeah.
time. The other thing I had when she's teaching, I thought I love Natalie Portman, one of my favorite actors. It is so funny to me the way that she was talking about the cells like splitting, like the way she gave it performance in such like a sing-song cadence in a way that I was like,
Yes.
it'd be so funny to be sitting in class and have your professor, I don't remember her exact lines, but like the cells turn from 1 to 2, from 2 to 4.
Yeah,
Four.
like
I was
she's
like, that
done
was
this
like
a
just such an
thousand
interesting one.
times.
I was like, that'd be hysterical. Like I'd be cracking up in class if my professor was actually talking like that.
Yes. Oh, 100%. It gives that very much feel that she's done this so many times. It's down to a rhythm. She's moving through it. And then jumping over now into what you were talking about earlier, Oscar Isaac shows up as Kane.
Yep.
And first we learn that he's been gone for about a year, and we get her talking to Daniel, who is the African American professor at her college, who shows up later. I think he does a good job, and his part in the story I think is much bigger than I initially thought it was because of what happens that we'll get into. But we learned that Oscar Isaac, who's Kane, has been gone for a year on a mission. He was in the army along with Natalie Portman. That's how they met. And then we get a scene where she's going home and painting, and he just shows up in the house. And when he shows up, the blank expression on his face, I thought it was very good. But then his scene at the kitchen table, I thought killed it. He does not have a lot of lines. He is not in this a lot. I thought his performance kind of set the whole tone for the movie for me.
Exactly. No, I think he nails that. And yeah, what his character is doing there is just so incredibly frustrating. And you're just like, why can you not give her anything? Like it's so like you have
Yes,
no
she's
idea of
just
anything. It's
berating
like,
him for
come
answers, and
on.
he doesn't
Yes.
have them.
Yeah, and you're like, is he like, does he actually have nothing, or is he just like really won't give her anything? It's incredibly frustrating, and Natalie Portman sells that so well. And then obviously they things escalate very quickly.
Yes, 100%. I think his flat delivery of "I don't know" to like simple questions that you'd think he'd be able to answer, and then you can see her getting like a little upset, thinking that he's trying to hide something, and then as we
So
later find out, he literally just does not know. And I love when he takes a sip of the water and there's blood in it, and just as straight as you can go. I don't feel very good.
yeah, that was
Perfect.
really
I
great
love
visual
that.
storytelling. That yeah, that's like the water cup like rumbling in Jurassic Park. That was just like you knew. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's immediate dread fills your body
Oh,
when you see it.
100%. Especially then you get him, extremely quickly they go into the ambulance, and he is just complete organ failure, throwing up blood everywhere, like the escalation there. And then the army comes in and almost runs them off the road in order to get them to the location. And then we get the setup of what is actually going on. In the beginning of the movie, we see an asteroid coming in, hits the lighthouse, and this weird shimmer effect starts coming out. Now we are at a research facility of sorts that's run by the army that is monitoring this shimmer that they call it, which is this giant like film almost that continues to grow from this lighthouse and is enveloped a town, a large part of, I think this is Florida, I'm pretty sure, but is continuing to grow. And if it won't stop, will envelop the whole Earth. We get introduced to Jennifer Jason Leigh's character as Ventress. We get the rest of the cast. And this is where the movie really takes off. Now, I'm a big sci fi guy. I love a good sci fi movie. I was extremely interested just right away. The idea that this not even thing, this just field is constantly growing. And you get this ticking clock element of, Kane, her husband, is not doing well. He's stabilized now, but he is still in a very bad spot. And the idea that if they don't figure out what the shimmer is, it could eventually end the world, but not at a very fast pace. I mean, it looks like they're a couple hundred meters off of it, and it said it would take 3 months for that to reach them. So very slowly kind of moving forward and creeping onto them.
Yeah, and it had a very similar feel to like Arrival, with all the military being right
Yes.
outside of this thing that they're sending people in. The difference being in Arrival, those people can come back out and talk about what they're seeing in there. Where Annihilation, there no one's coming out and they can't have any communication in or out from the shimmer, so it's just a complete question mark. And they're kind of at a
Yeah.
loss. They've
No
only
idea
sent
what's going on.
military in before. Now they're finally sending scientists in to maybe try to get an idea of what's going on in there.
Yes, 100%. And then we get a lot more character development, obviously. And then they finally go into the Shimmer. But before they go into the Shimmer, I want to touch on the point that we find out that Natalie Portman's character, Lena, is cheating on her husband, Kane, with Daniel. But I didn't understand, and hopefully you got this and picked it up, where the affair that we see, Daniel makes it seem like this has been going on for a while. And I was under the impression that it was just a one-time thing that happened because Kane was gone and Lena was trying to move on. But then I kind of got the sense that this had been going on for a while.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure if it was like totally a one-time thing or if it was a continuing thing. I would guess it was a little bit more of a continuing thing, um, because of the way that he talks about it. Like he's listing off all these reasons about
Yeah.
why that she shouldn't be with her husband, and so it seemed like they had some like level of like familiarity and discourse there. And then yeah, that stems Kane's motivation to do the mission that he does.
Yes, yes. And then obviously we get the show of Kane leaving. He actually leaves a day early. I kind of felt like that kind of cemented or gave me the impression that she was doing this more because I think they even say, I think she says to Daniel that Kane has found out. So maybe he's upset and he just wants to leave and go on this mission. We'll definitely touch on that later, though, because I wrote some stuff down for that. But then we read the rest of our cast. So we have Lena, who is our main character. We have Ventress, Jennifer Jason Leigh. We have Josie, who's played by Tessa Thompson, and then we have Anya and Shepard, who aren't big actors, but they are also going in. Mainly just this 5-lady cast going into the Shimmer. And when they first get in this Shimmer, I love how it cuts away to that Daniel scene, and then it comes back, and they are just in the middle, set up. They're confused. They even point out that they don't remember anything else, but it looks like they've been in there for 4 days. They're completely lost. I mean, I thought that was great to just drop them in there.
Yeah, it's really economic storytelling, just dropping us in right where we need to be. Like we're very quickly going to like understand our surroundings. They don't need to show them walking in and like
Yes,
peering around at all the trees. They didn't even do that whole thing. It was just here's the next problem they're at. Here's the next thing that you need to see to like
exactly.
move this story forward.
And then we get our first interesting scene of the crocodile attack, which crocodiles alone are scary enough. I've seen them and they are terrifying. And this mutated one that has like the shark-like teeth and jaws, just so well done. I love the creature kind of design in that. And honestly, the CGI on it wasn't even that bad. I wasn't really taken out. Obviously, it wasn't real crocodile, but I didn't think that it subtracted at all from
You
the
don't think it was a real one?
Oh no, definitely not. But no, I didn't think. Obviously, this is a smaller budget movie, and smaller budget movies have to balance their special effects budget, how much you want to go in with that. And I didn't think at all it was distracting.
No, I thought it looked great, and I really love the look of like the deer that we see later on too.
Yes,
I think all of the animals in this looked really great. Um,
and the
and just that
flowers, very
the
vibrant.
constant like rainbow shimmer the whole time is just
Yes,
really beautiful. I think just showing how like that CGI used just like in moderation just to make things look a little fantastical really can pay off. Like you know that that's fake, but like everything around is so real still that like you can buy the little bit of
yes,
CGI.
and especially you talk about that shimmer. I don't know if you noticed. I didn't notice this when I first watched it, but every like water in the whole movie has the shimmer effect on it because I'm guessing the shimmer is like a dome, so you'd obviously have this stuff on the top reflecting down. But yeah, it just really goes well with all the animal mutations, the flower mutations, everything really just interesting there. So then we start to find out some more stuff about our characters, and I think it is Shepard refers to them all as damaged goods. I don't know if you caught this, but Lena lost her husband, or so she thought, and I think she feels guilty about betraying him and sleeping with another man.
Mm-hmm.
Shepard says she lost her daughter to leukemia, I think it is. Anya is addicted to, I don't know if it was drugs or alcohol, but they said she was sober. Josie is suicidal, that we found out that is Tessa Thompson Raddick. And then Ventress is very alone, and we later find out she has cancer. So all of them have a disease or are recovering from a disease or mental health issues, which plays in later to the end, which we learn as they're going through on the boat through the swamp. And then we get to possibly one of my favorite scenes in this. I think definitely the most creepy, but at the camp they get to that the other groups have been at, where we see a very disturbing video of someone getting cut open. And
Mm-hmm.
I thought that that was incredible. And then almost outdone by the visuals of when they go to that pool.
Yeah, I love, and then they find the video camera, right? That's what we're on.
Yeah.
And so I love whenever a movie does that, has like that little found footage element in there with of them finding, a tape somebody left before.
Yes.
Love that. And so that was great. it bugged me. Did you like notice like the camera was like cutting whenever they're showing the found footage stuff? It would be like the found footage stuff. Then you like every once in a while get like a close up like reverse shot of Oscar Isaac, and that
Yeah,
was really strange. Like that was really bizarre to me because it like wasn't cutting diegetically, so I don't know what was going on there.
yeah,
But
it was a
no, I
little
love
weird,
that.
but
Yes, no, I love that. Yeah, that, and then what you see happening to the guy is terrifying and insane. I almost wish we saw a little bit less of it. Like I think they almost hold on it for a bit too long, give you too good of a look at it. It would have been a little
I think
scarier
when
if
you
you just
when they put their
saw a glimpse.
hand in, I think it goes a little too far because Oscar Isaac grabs into his intestines there, and you can see him moving. But yeah, I think they hold on a little too long. I would have liked to see, which is odd because then you get that great scene of when they go to where he got cut open and he is like exploded on the wall. It's like a giant mutation erupted
Mhm.
from him, and I would rather see less of them cutting him open and just
Exactly.
go to that.
Exactly. Yeah, just get a little glimpse of that so you're confused, like what the hell was that? Was that real? Did I like see something wrong? And then you see his body and then you're like, "Oh, no, that something clearly went very
Yeah.
awry here."
And then I also love how it sets up later that you see that thing moving in him. And then later on, I think it is Anya talks about how her fingerprints are moving when she looks at him. This idea that your DNA is being altered and moving is very interesting and really
Totally.
plays into the two theories they give earlier of what happened. It's either you go in and something else kills you, or you go in and you go crazy and you kill each other.
Yes. Exactly. And I think like later on in like the last video they see Kane mentions that he's like my skin is like swimming like liquid too.
Yeah, exactly. When they're in the lighthouse.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so then we get to the bear. Now, I think the bear is possibly one of the best done things in this movie on the second scene, but on this initial part, it shows up, it takes Shepard away, drags her into the jungle, and you really get the sense of idea of how hopeless they are almost because, first of all, it is at night, but at the same time, even a regular bear could take on a team of 5 people. And now
Oh
you
yeah.
have this mutated bear, you can just imagine what it could do.
Right. And like seemingly these like animals are a lot stronger than normal animals. Like that
Yeah.
alligator crocodile, that took a lot of bullets. Like that took a lot to take that thing down. So like you can only imagine like this bear is not going to go down easy,
Oh
presumably.
no.
Yeah, it's terrifying. And they're already in there. They've seen what happened to everybody else. They've seen that something is like going on genetically or something environmentally is an issue, and then now you have to deal with like you know hostile animals attacking you too, not only the environment. So yeah, I think they're really beaten down at this point.
Oh yes. Then when they move on, obviously to the next town, we do get a part where Lena goes away to confirm because there was a lot of distrust of what happened to Shepard, but then Lena goes finds her body, so we're cemented that she is dead, which comes up later. We'll get to that. And then they go to the town, and I really liked the visuals of the town with the people flower thing, the mutation that was going on there. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, that was so cool, and just like one of those things where it's just beautiful, like and terrifying. Like it's
Yeah.
really unsettling, but is so like if it was if that was a man-made thing, you'd be like, wow, this is beautiful. But like knowing it came from the ground, it's just like that is so unsettling, and it's just crazy what is happening to the environment and what is happening like inside me, which
Oh
Natalie
yeah.
Portman quickly
I think
points
they do a great job of setting up. They might answer it. I couldn't really tell, but like, so there's these flower structures, almost like just
out. Mhm.
literal flowers and vines that look exactly like people. They're holding hands, and I didn't understand at that point were because they talk about DNA being restructured, and I didn't understand if the flowers' DNA was changed to make them look like that, or if the people had actually turned into these plants.
Yeah, I agree. I had the same thought, and I think the answer is both because there was like one of the flower things was like a parent and like a kid, right? It was like
Yes.
one like, and I was like, well, no kid, they haven't sent any kids in here, and so I think somehow, like they said, it's like a prism. This DNA is being refracted. Essentially, everything's being
Yeah.
refracted, and so like maybe someone's memories are getting mixed in with the DNA, and then that's growing from the flowers. But then also, I think if you kind of let yourself be taken over by this, then that's like you also can mutate into a flower. It seems like
I
later on.
think yeah.
Yeah.
I could agree with that, which obviously we see what happens with that later. And then we get a great scene where after we learn that this DNA is maybe being refracted, Lena checks her DNA and sees, just like earlier when we were talking about the college course, the DNA separating and splitting cells. The split cells are these refracted cells. They are part of the shimmer now. So it shows that whatever this thing is now inside them, which is a lot of their fears after seeing that video. And then the team finally finds out that Kane, who they all saw cut into the sky earlier, is Lena's husband. They hadn't known until that point. And Anya goes a little crazy and kidnaps them and ties them up. Now, I was trying because last time I saw this, I kind of looked into the meaning behind it and this idea of self-destruction and cancer and all that, annihilation, nothing else remains. And the damaged goods that I brought up, and I saw the characters, except for Shepard, really kind of go back to what their damage was before they came in. So, for example, Anya was an addict. I don't know if that was alcohol or drugs, but she kind of starts to go crazy, like she's drunk and acts irrational. And I kind of saw that as her going back on her sobriety and her change.
Yeah, I think it's a very good. I think that's a really good read of it. Like saying that the shimmer, you know, preys on you or brings
Yeah.
up your like shortcomings, and also I think from like a person versus person standpoint, it's interesting with them going in there and thinking, okay, are these people going crazy or are they getting killed? And so it seemed like for some of them, like the idea of going crazy was like really present in their minds. And so she was so worried about one of the other ones like going crazy against them that like she kind of went crazy herself too, was
Yes.
like
She
so
was
worried
she
about
became
it.
what she hated.
Yes. And so but it was also it's interesting because they come at Natalie Portman, they're like, you're lying to us, how can we believe anything you say now? And it seemed like everyone was like really willing to listen to Lena, Natalie Portman's character, early on, whenever she was like just kind of this girl who showed up on the base and like volunteered to go
Yeah.
with them. And she's kind of like, I forget what exactly she does, but she's kind of like, jumping some conclusions. It's like, well, if this happened, then it means this, so we should do this. And they're like, all right. I'm like, that's like for these military women to be like agreeing with this newcomer seemed like I was like, okay, but
See, I think it was the other way because I think Natalie Portman was the only military one, and the others were just scientists. And then when she
sure,
defeats that crocodile, I think that's why they kind of follow her. And I think you've got,
good reason.
Ventress obviously already knows, so she, can look past that Kane kind of went crazy and follows what Natalie Portman's doing, what Lena's doing. And I think Josie is just so scared and fragile that she will go with it because she sees her as the strong leader type. But I think Anya, just like you said, is worried about everyone else going crazy to the point that she goes crazy.
Yeah, and you got to think like if Lena didn't go in with them, like what would have happened? Like Anya
Exactly.
probably
Yeah.
would have like been the leader, I presume, and just kind of like everything would have imploded much earlier.
Oh, 100%. And then we get the scene that I was talking about, the bear scene. When that bear starts screaming as Shepard, that is some genuinely good, not only sound design, but just like actual horror almost. Like the thought of that existing is terrifying.
Totally agree. Yeah, love, love, love that. And I almost wish we got a little bit more of that going on before we see the bear. I wish like that intro, that sequence got dragged out a little more because
Yeah.
you hear like her scream. One of the girls was Anya runs out,
Yeah.
and then Anya runs out after. I almost wish we got a little bit more of that confusion for a second before you get revealed that the bear is making that noise. But yeah, no, that was an incredible
Yeah. And I don't know
element
if you
of it.
noticed, but in that part, there's actually a little bit of an undertone of music as Anya's tied up. Everybody is like, who knew about this? And then as soon as you hear Shepard yell, the music just drops out. And it's just only the yelling and the characters talking. I thought that was great. And then, yeah, when the bear, you actually see this bear where its entire like skull is exposed and it can mimic these voices. Really genuinely terrifying. I really like that. And then they get out of that. Luckily, they all kind of work together when the bear kind of tosses them over to get through that. And then you can really see them break down. Josie doesn't know what to do. Lena's kind of doesn't know what to do either at this point. Ventress is just so set on getting to that lighthouse that our group splits up. And we get the next character that dies. Obviously, first of all, Anya dies to the bear. And then Josie goes next. And I saw Josie's death also going into that beginning where we learned that she cuts herself, she's suicidal, and then she makes a great point of Ventress wants to fight this thing. Lena wants to learn from this thing, and or no, Ventress wants to kill it. Lena wants to learn, and then she doesn't want either. And she kind of walks off and accepts her fate and turns into what I think is one of the flower people.
Yes, no, that's yeah. I think she does turn into one of the flower people, and that's where. So yeah, I think that's again where my confusion kind of came in because she definitely turned into a flower person. That is, I'm certain of what happened, but not all of the flower people are people who mutated into flowers. So I don't understand exactly the logistics of how that can all happen, but yeah, it seems like she turned into a flower person, and a lot of the other flower people are just things that grew up from the ground. Maybe some other ones are old soldiers.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And then we get to the lighthouse, which is the climax of the movie. And first of all, the mutations there are going crazy. I love the glass trees on the beach look. I thought that was very interesting. And then we also see a lot of skulls outside of the lighthouse, which makes me think that the lighthouse is almost like a final judgment, a final test. And a lot of people have made it there, but they haven't succeeded. And they just get put back outside as kind of, I don't know, a warning, but just, I guess, like something to maybe scare people off or just show like something is going on in here. Really interesting to look at, though.
Yeah, totally. And I think, if you want to like really go into the read of, the whole movie being about cancer, like when they first come into the shimmer, things aren't very different. They just have like a little, you see a little bit of the rainbow glow and maybe the environment's a little bit different, but the deeper they go in, then it's like, then you see the flower people and then they get to the lighthouse and then you have the glass trees and everything's mutated like crazy. So that's
Yeah.
like the highest stage of this cancer, and then you see all the dead bodies around it. I think that metaphor is really powerful there.
Yeah. So then this is definitely going to be the most confusing part if you have not seen this movie and you're still watching through spoilers. But let's just, take a little time here and try and decipher what the ending means. We can give each of our own interpretations of it, try and figure that out. I'll go first really quick. So I'll break down what happens first. So Lena goes into this lighthouse and we see there is a burnt body on the wall and a video camera. And she looks at the video camera and we see that it is Kane, her husband, who is on the video camera against that wall. And first of all, he's talking with a Southern accent, which he has not talked with the entire rest of the movie. Now, you could think that this was just becomes coming in the shimmer, and that's what I'm associating is that Lena gets a tattoo on her arm that is from one of her other squad mates. And I assume that Kane got the Southern accent from one of his squad mates. And we see him talk about, like you said earlier, his skin is like liquid. He can feel it moving. And he's talking to someone off screen and he says, if you get out of here, can you find Lena? And they say, I will. And then he kills himself with a phosphorus grenade. It blows up and lights him on fire. And then we see that the person he was talking to was another version or a clone of himself, of Kane. And that is the Kane that leaves and goes to see Lena in the beginning of the movie. Lena then goes down into the meteor, where the meteor landed in this cave, and we see Ventress, but without a face, which we'll get to. I think I know what that was. And then Ventress talks to Lena and says that this is just a part of the phase, and then she explodes into flames, which I understood is, again, going back to the things these people had that they came in with. Ventress had cancer, which destroys you from the inside, and then her death is exploding and, combusting from the inside. I saw a parallel with that. She then turns into this alien orb, which takes a drop of blood from Lena and turns into a blank figure that follows Lena out of this crater back up into the lighthouse and then mimics all of her movements. When Lena hits it, because she doesn't know what it is, it hits her back out of copying her, and then it lays down on the floor when she's knocked out and copies her laying down. When she runs for the door and tries to escape, it runs to the door and tries to escape and pins her because they're both in the same spot. And then we see it transform into Lena, and she finally realizes how to defeat it. She gives it the same grenade that Kane used to kill himself, and it holds it as it mimics her movements, and she pulls the pin, It explodes, kind of disoriented and stunning it, and Lena is able to escape the lighthouse, and it burns down. Now, there's a lot to unpack there, but my thought when watching this was that the lighthouse kind of represents the human brain almost. And again, going back into cancer, I kind of saw this thing as another part of you that is working against you. So that could be obviously cancer, as your own body is kind of trying to kill you in a way as you grow these tumors and cancerous cells, or as we saw with Anya and Josie, a mental illness that's working against you. You know, if you're depressed, it's kind of like someone that's trying to constantly keep you sad. And then the ending I saw was kind of this other form. It's not a mental illness for Lena, but it's her guilt she feels for cheating on her husband with Daniel. And she can come to terms with that in the end. And that's how she's able to escape from it and get away from it.
I like it. I think I agree with a large portion of what you're saying. And I think
Okay.
really quick, just to backtrack and kind of, set an overarching thing. You've talked so much about how all these people have their, they're all kind of damaged in their own ways when they go in here. And earlier in the movie, Ventress tells Lena that, these people are not suicidal. Everyone here self-destructs. And so I think
Yes.
that's another, you really need to like look at the movie, and then she ends up literally self-destructing. And so I think that's like
Yes.
a good read. Like if you don't want to like totally apply this movie is exclusively about cancer, you can like also apply this like self-destruction type of read to it. But yeah, what I think, so Lena is like doing this little song and dance with her doppelganger, right?
Yep.
And then she eventually gets it to like blow itself up. She gets out of there. The shimmer collapses. She goes back to the facility and then talks to Kane. And so, and then they say something to the effect of, she asks if it's really him. And he's like, I don't think so. And then he asks if it's really her, and she doesn't answer. And it's like very much like the ending of John Carpenter's The Thing, when
Yes. Yes.
you have
Love that.
you have the two guys, and they're like, and neither of them know. They're like, well, how do I know if you're the thing? And they don't. They're like, well, I guess we just like both don't know. Like we just die basically.
Oh,
And it was
see,
very much the same as
I
that.
don't want to jump away from Annihilation really quick, but to touch on that scene in The Thing, I think Childs is the thing
Do you?
because for two reasons. One, at the end of the movie, they're out in the freezing cold, and McCready's breath is making huge clouds when he exhales, and Childs makes none, which would be the alien not understanding how that works. And the last thing McCready does is give Childs a bottle of alcohol, and he drinks it, and then McCready smiles. And I saw that because in the beginning of the movie, McCready lost to the chest machine and poured his drink in it to beat it. And at the end of the movie, he was throwing Molotov cocktails, which would mean those drinks are full of oil. And he gives it to Childs, and he drinks it, no spitting it out. And he knows right there, that's the thing.
Yeah, that's, I think, a very good read of that. Yeah, would. I kind of like the ambiguity and like trying to like imagine, like, ooh, I don't know, you just don't know who's who. But yeah, I do. That's the best read of it, I think, if you wanted to like come to a conclusion.
If you really want to get into it, but at the same time, yeah, the ambiguity of that movie, who is the thing? I mean, that does perfectly who is really the thing and who is not. And I love that. But going back to Annihilation, yes, I really liked. See, at the end, I think it is still Lena, but changed because she got rid of that guilt.
Yes, I think she got rid of the guilt, and also I think she has a part of all those people that she went in with. She has a part of all of them inside of her. She has a part of all those animals there. She really, the Lena that we knew did kind of self-destruct in there, or it mutated, and it's something totally different. It made something new. It didn't go in there to be destroyed. It's something, everything that comes out there is something totally different.
And another thing relating to the self-destruction idea I was talking about, I don't know if you noticed, there's a line though, I think from Wong, Benedict Wong's character, that he was like, how does she get out? And I'm thinking, and he says something along the lines of, you're the only person that wanted to get out or had a reason to get out. Because Ventress had cancer, and I think Wong tells her she has cancer, and there was no way she was going to come out, or even if she did come out, she wouldn't last long. So she doesn't have a reason to leave. Josie, we said, was suicidal, and obviously that didn't go great for her. And then obviously she kind of came to terms with it in The Shimmer and moved on. Shepard lost her daughter. She probably had a lot of grief, saw this as a way to try and figure out what was in the lighthouse, but then also not come back to her life of grief. And Anya being the addict, probably wanted to kind of move on as well and get away from that. But I saw Lena as having a reason to come back to almost make up for her affair with her husband,
Yes.
to try and salvage the relationship and come back.
Yeah, I think that's her exact motivation. She's like no one else in there like really had a reason to come back out, but
Yeah.
she went in there because she realized Kane went into this thing basically to self-destruct from the knowledge of her having the affair. So she's like, I owe
Yes.
it to him to go in there, figure out how to solve this thing, and get back to him and cure him because he would not have gone there. He would not be in this condition if it wasn't for my actions.
Yes. Oh, 100%. I agree with that. Um, yeah, but honestly, just a very interesting ending. Definitely a lot of different ways you can read that. If you guys have seen this movie or watch it after this and have any idea, please leave it in the comments. I'd love to see what some other people's thoughts are. Really quickly, just wrapping it up, I thought the music was really great. I've heard that sound so many times now when they're in the lighthouse. That dun, 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 dun. I thought that was great. Um, and I wanted to know if you had any idea what the eyes shimmering at the very end meant, because it makes it a very good point of showing that. But I didn't really understand what they were trying to tell with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think just to like, I guess just to, like, to really like emphasize like the change and the metamorphosis and just being infused with everything from that. Yeah, I don't have like an exact one-to-one read of it, but
Gotcha. But still, interesting. I thought I like this movie a lot more than the last time I watched it, mainly because I got to pay attention more and really get into it. I would definitely recommend this to anybody, though. It's a really interesting movie to watch, not only thought provoking and what it means, but just visually. Would you recommend it, Reese?
yeah, I think this is a great movie. This is a movie you want to watch like by yourself with like a big like bowl of soup. Like this is not like a like
Yes.
hang out like watch with your friends type of movie. Uh,
No.
yeah, you want to be dialed in for this one because it'll move by you quick if you're not paying attention. And a lot of the beats that are very important are like pretty subdued, not very loud. And so if you're talking to your friend, you're gonna miss quite a bit. So yeah, dial into this one.
100%. Just to end it off, I know I put you on the spot once already. Out of 10, what would you give it?
I think the first time I watched it, I gave it an 8 out of 10.
I'm thinking a 7.5 for me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, somewhere around there. I
Right
think
around there.
fair. It's like a strong, it's like an enthusiastic thumbs up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like one of those movies where I feel like everyone has a pretty high regard of it, but you never really hear anyone talking about them. It's just kind of one of those movies everyone's
No,
seen, everyone pretty well likes, but there's not a whole lot of discourse about it. You aren't like recommending. You're like, oh, you need to see
you gotta
Annihilation.
see this. Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
it's. I'm almost surprised, like on Letterboxd, like just how high of a like watch count is on it, and just how little I hear about it in discourse. It's just one of those things that's like everyone's kind of seen, everyone has a pretty similar opinion on, and there's not a whole lot of discussion.
Yeah, I would definitely say the ending does that. I think the ending can alienate people a little bit. Looking at the IMDb, it's very clear. I think IMDb it's like a 7.8 out of 10, but the Metacritic score is like 78. So big difference in people, because obviously you're going to get general audiences who don't read into it compared to people who do read into it a lot. So you'll get some differences there. But yeah, I think definitely worth a watch. But jumping over into our trailers for this week and jumping over into something starkly different from what we just watched. Five Nights at Freddy's is going to have a movie, and the trailer is interesting. We've got a decent cast here. Josh Hutcherson, I haven't seen him in anything in a long time, but Matthew Lillard, I love him. He's a great character actor. Directed by Emma Tammy. I don't know if I've seen anything else she's done, but I guess I'm kind of interested in this trailer. It's just so weird that this long after these games were a thing, it's been like 10 years that we now get the movie.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I think it's gonna be fun. It's just I'm like, this is yeah, give me more of this kind of stuff. I'm ready for it. If everything's gonna be this like IP driven industry, then making a movie out of like this indie horror game, fine by me. I'm
Yeah.
super excited for Matthew Lillard to be in it. I love Matthew Lillard. Really excited for him to get like a big I guess like a big like starring role, just like let really like a role that I think he can like really sink his teeth into and
Yeah.
cook with. Yeah, I think Five Nights at Freddy's is just like a great concept. I've like like I think I played the games like on my like iPad like at school. Sometimes
Yes.
I never like I never like got the actual games like on my computer or anything, but like that was the era of like when I feel like our generation was like really into YouTube and like Slenderman
Yes.
videos were a big
Oh my
thing.
God.
So
I
like
can remember watching every video on these that came
yeah,
out.
so I'm excited.
Anyway,
I think it'll be fun. It'll be a jump scare fest, which is
yep.
what it should be. So
100%.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely though. I'll probably check it out, but just interesting, just to say the least. If I had to say one word, it'd be interesting.
definitely
However,
interesting.
something that I don't think is going to be as interesting, in my opinion, is the new Flash trailer and movie. Now, I'm going to be honest. When the first one trailer came out, I was willing to give it a chance. I was like, okay, DC's copying Marvel. They're going to do multiverse. They've got to restart the whole universe so that James Gunn can do his stuff. Keaton's Batman, love him in the Tim Burton movies. Love to see him back. This trailer made me think that this movie is not going to be that good, in my opinion.
I kind of like had the same arc on this movie. It was like
I
you're watching
don't know
it
what
and
it is.
you're like in the, like you're like because they're trying to do like the No Way Home thing, right? Like with Michael
Yes,
Keaton. Like,
100%. That movie
but
made
it's
like
like man,
over a
like
billion.
even if you want to put Michael Keaton in the trailer, you want to give away Michael Keaton's going to be in it. And I think they announced like a long time ago that he was going to be in it.
Yeah,
Like fine, but he's like in the trailer so much. It's like I feel like any like allure of like seeing Michael Keaton's Batman interact with like the Flash and Ben Affleck's Batman. It's like I was like, well, I've kind of just seen it already. Like
yeah,
I was like trying to be a little excited for this. I was like, oh, it could be fun. This is like they're tearing everything down of this like the DCEU or whatever they're trying to do. And then
yeah,
it's just like, I'm just like I'll still go see it, but it's just like I'm not jazzed for it like I could
yeah.
be.
And on this new trailer, especially, I felt like the CGI was bad.
Yeah, I don't know. This new trailer yet didn't do a lot for me. Love that they had the Pink Floyd song in there. I was like, cool
Yes,
touch. But
that was
like
great.
beyond that, I was like, this really did nothing besides like deflate my excitement for the movie.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's got this standard superhero, not stupid hero, superhero comedy, but like
Well,
the ones in the trailer, none of it lands. And if they're putting their good comedy in the trailer, then how bad is the comedy going to be in the movie? Um, and I'm the same way. They're obviously copying No Way Home. No Way Home never showed Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire, and
right.
this can't stop showing
I
Michael
know.
Keaton.
We've seen
Like
we've seen the Batwing, his Batmobile. We've seen him in the suit, him out of the suit. Yeah, it's just like
exactly, like
every like thing that every
ridiculous.
toy they could put on the screen, they like already wasted.
I was really hoping when this first got announced that Christian Bale would show up, but I think it's so far in it now that it's not going to be that. But yeah, like just my excitement's been deflated. I will say the only thing I will see this for, and the only reason I would be there opening night, Michael Shannon. I cannot get enough of Michael Shannon. I love him as an actor. He's incredible character wise. He was the best part of Man of Steel as Zod. I'm excited to see him in this, but other than that, I'm not really interested.
Yeah, I would love if like somehow like Mark Hamill plays like a live action Joker in
Oh,
this.
that would be great. They won't do it,
Like
but I
that's
would
like the
love it.
crazy thing that could like win me over no matter what. It could be a terrible movie, but I'd be like, that's cool. I
Yeah.
could not see that happening, but that's the one thing where I'd like would instantly win me over, despite whatever this movie ends up being.
Also, just really quickly, wrapping this one up, odd choice of director. Andy Muschietti, who did It, going to this is such an odd jump, in my opinion. Like, I don't know why you would pick him.
Yeah, I agree. It seems like kind of like all those directors who kind of like popped in like the mid to late like 2010s kind of all like get their superhero movie eventually.
Yes.
So I guess like Andy Muschietti like this is just his shot at it. But yeah, again, someone who did he did Mama and then It in It Chapter Two, and I guess it's just like getting his bag here. But yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say anything that he's done previously lends himself to being a superhero director. Like
No.
you
Yeah.
make the argument that like he like directed kids well, and so you'd think like okay maybe like if they were doing a I don't know like a Teen Titans movie, you're like okay
That
maybe
would make
Muschietti could
sense.
be cool, but yeah I don't see the correlation here particularly.
Yeah. I'll definitely check it out though, but can't say it's my number one movie this year. Next up, though, something that jumped out almost literally, and I was not expecting, is Insidious: The Red Door. Looking like they're gonna wrap up the Insidious movies. I've seen, I think, all of them now.
Really.
They're genuinely good horror movies. They definitely have some interesting elements with the further and all of that. Love
Hmm.
Patrick Wilson. Love Rose Byrne as well. Interesting choice that this is going to be written by Leigh Whannell, who obviously made the first one with oh, what was his name? I can't think of it. James Wan, who did The Conjuring, but directed by Patrick Wilson.
Yep, his directorial debut. Yeah, it's a real be a real interesting spot for him here. I've only seen the first Insidious. Like the Insidious, Conjuring, those types of horror movies like are not my preferred like flavor of horror. I'm much more like Man with a Knife is like much scarier to me and much more interesting to me than like Ghost in the House. But
Yes.
I did like Insidious enough. I'm sure I'll watch the rest of them like to gear up for the last for the Red Door. But I mean, nothing like necessarily jumped out at me like from the trailer. Like I knew Patrick Wilson was directing this. I kind of like knew everything that was going on in development from this, but um, I wouldn't say anything from the trailer really jumped out at me. I think it's interesting right now, as it's listed anyway. Ty Simpkins is billed as the first lead of this, and Patrick Wilson is billed second lead. I
Really.
just find that interesting.
Yeah. I was gonna say though, I'm really happy that they did Ty Simpkins because that is the kid
Yes,
from the first instead of recasting
it
and
is really cool. Yeah, I'm
you know
excited to see what he does.
bringing him in like Boyhood, where they followed him through his life. Bringing him back. I really enjoy that. I didn't think they'd do it, but I'm excited for that. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting at least to wrap this all up. I'll definitely do a watch again of all of them so I can get an understanding of where it's coming from. But yeah, definitely be interesting. I definitely would agree though that Ghost in the House isn't as scary as more realistic things, but I think the Insidious and at least the first two Conjuring movies, not all their spinoffs, kind of get away from that and do a better job, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah. Anytime there's a big horror movie coming out, I'll be there. So I'm
Okay,
excited.
I love to hear it. Now jumping into possibly my new number one most anticipated movie of this year, Killers of the Flower Moon by Martin Scorsese with Robert De Niro, Leonardo DiCaprio, Jesse Plemons, John Lithgow, Brendan Fraser. I mean, what can you say about this?
Yeah, so watching it, it like off the bat, it doesn't feel like a Scorsese film just
No,
based on
it
like
does
the
not.
setting, the tone. But then I'm watching it and I'm like trying to imagine it. Like, what if this was in New York? What if this was not taking place where it's at? What if this was like in New York? And then you can like see it as a Scorsese movie. So I'm like, okay, you know,
Yeah.
I trust. I think it's gonna be great. I really do think it's gonna be great. It's just like watching it for a second, like he does not jump off the page as you as
Of
Scorsese
course,
off the
no,
bat.
100% it doesn't. I definitely, though, opening of the trailer got huge, huge. There will be blood vibes when they're going through the all
Yes,
the
that's exactly what I thought.
yeah. But I mean, I honestly have got to say that this trailer might be the best trailer this year. Like I was as soon as it starts going, because what I saw originally, and this was months ago when this movie first got announced, it was like a still picture of Leonardo with the Native American woman. I think it's Lily Gladstone just sitting at a table. I'm like, oh, that looks kind of upbeat and kind of hokey almost. It doesn't look, there was something off about it when I saw it. But good God, this trailer with just the beat over pounding of Native American like drums and music and the violence that it shows in this and the gearing up of what could be happening. I was blown away and I can't say that I'm not excited for this. This is going to be incredible.
Yeah, I think it has big potential to be something yeah, really special. I'm
Oh,
excited.
100%. Love Scorsese directing again. What was his last movie that he did? Irishman. Glad to see
Irishman.
him coming back. This one in theaters. Just extremely excited for it. Okay, I'm gonna cut this part out. But do you have
Good.
the hands pulled
Yep.
up? That thing I linked. Okay, we're gonna go into that next. And now jumping over into our general movie news for this week. If people don't know, it's obviously a very big thing going on right now, but the Cannes Film Festival is going on. And there are some big reviews out for some movies that I'm definitely looking forward to. It's still going on. We're recording this on the 26th. It goes to the 27th. So maybe next week we'll touch on the I think it's the Palme d'Or winner.
Yep.
Let's see what
Yep.
that is. But really quickly, we have some of the early reviews here. Just going through some of the ones I'm really excited for that I've been kind of following. Number one, Killers of the Flower Moon is at a 96% right now. It is looking to be very good. Obviously, we just talked about that in trailers, so we won't dwell on it much, but I'm excited for this. Glad to see it's getting good reviews. Hard to imagine it not getting by Martin Scorsese. But the next one that I'm looking at, I'm very excited for, is going to be Asteroid City. Wes Anderson sitting at 81%, premiered at Cannes. I've been looking for this for a while, but what do you think, Reese? Have you been a Wes Anderson fan?
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit the first time I was on, and I'm a little Wes Anderson stupid, so I will be totally caught up by the time Asteroid City comes out. I've seen a very weird array of Wes Anderson movies and like basically have like missed all the big hits. But no, I'll check everything out before this. I am very interested in it. What I am most anxious about the very like pastel blue orange look of
Yes,
Asteroid City. Like just watch for like the next 9 months after Asteroid City to come out. Like every TikTok and
yep,
Instagram picture is going to have this exact look. And
100%.
so yeah,
Yeah, I
so
mean,
just hope get used to that.
I've been in love with Wes Anderson since I saw Grand Budapest Hotel. I've gone back and watched him. I am really hoping this is another Grand Budapest because that I freaking love that movie. If you have not seen that, you have to go watch it. But the cast, like Wes Anderson, I would have been in it because of him. The cast on this is incredible. I'm going to be in it for those. I love Adrian Brody. He's becoming one of my favorite actors, and he's going to be in this. So I'm really looking forward to it. Glad to see it's doing decent in reviews, and I'm looking forward to that one. The next one I was going to look at is I think it's going to be a bad pronunciation. This is French, but Jean du Barry, starring Johnny Depp, is premiered, sitting at a 52%, lower than I thought. But I'm interested to see what Johnny Depp is going to do.
Yeah, I'm very interested in this as well. Yeah, that's kind of all I have to say. Is just like widely fascinated and like gonna keep my mind open and just yeah, really check this out. There have been some kind of like surprise stinkers coming out of Cannes. Uh,
Yeah,
I don't know, maybe not surprises, but there's like just been some real floppers. So
yeah,
Indiana Jones, which I'm sure you're gonna get to that one.
that's the one we were going to go to next. And then, like you just mentioned, Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny, 51%. I mean, I was excited when this got announced. Okay, I'm a little mixed when it got announced because, first of all, Kingdom of Crystal Skull was so bad. I would
Mhm.
hate for the last Indiana Jones to be that bad. And then you had Mads Mikkelsen in this. Indiana Jones is going to be coming back. Harrison Ford. I forget his name, but he was in Logan. He was the main bad guy in Logan. He is in this as well. But the trailer set me off because there's so much like CGI in the car chases, even just looks so fake. And then the second trailer came out, and oh my god, the digital de-aging. Why are we doing that? It looks so bad, and I want this to be good, but I just don't think it is. And based off these reviews, I mean, it kind of seems like it's going to be that way.
Yeah, I just from the little bit I've heard, it's just like there's just like no magic to it. It's just like
Yeah,
a pretty like lackluster, uninspired adventure movie, and so yeah, maybe it turns out that you really need a Stevie S at the helm there to make a good Indiana Jones movie, and then even then you are only going to shoot shoot well 3 out of 4 times. So
yeah.
I think this is going to be a big miss, which sucks. But yeah, you'll still go there to see it because you got to see
I
his
will definitely go and
thing one
see
more
it. I know
time.
my
So
dad is a huge fan of these, so we'll definitely go and see it. Surprising that it's James Mangold directing and it's not doing well. I mean, Ford v Ferrari, Logan,
mhm.
and then we get this.
Yeah, you think I just like I would love for him to do like an Indiana Jones, like more in the style of Logan, and
Yes.
I'm sure there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen for this one, and what
Oh,
ended up coming out was just like a very, uninspired adventure movie. But if you got to see like this like grizzled old Indiana Jones, like at the end of his rope, just like one day go out swinging, that's what I wanted to see. That's what I wanted to see out of the Kenobi series. I wanted that to be
yeah.
like Logan on Tatooine. But
Yeah.
one can dream.
One can dream. Lastly, for the con movies is going to be Hypnotic, 36%. I saw the trailer for this movie when I went to see Fool's Paradise, and I could have told you this was going to be a stinker from the start. Unfortunately, I'd love to see Ben Affleck in a better movie. I really want to see his career come back from being Batman once he's done with all that, which Flash will be his last one, but that was filmed ages ago. Again, Robert Rodriguez has made good movies as directing, but it's just so odd. It's like it's trying to be like a Christopher Nolan mind bender with a guy that can do hypnosis, and it's odd.
Yeah, it's playing now out here in LA at least. I don't know how wide of a release it has right now, but I mean, yeah, I've
I don't think
it's been
it's
at,
here, but yeah,
it's been at theaters, and I was like, I'm probably gonna pass on that one. It didn't
yeah.
really grab my eye. The only other thing I have out of can, there's this show that I've had my eye on called The Idol, starring Lily Rose Depp, The Weeknd, and Susanna Son, who was in Red Rocket, Sean Baker's last movie. And
Okay,
that, like, I think it's like from the makers of Euphoria. Sam Levinson is creating it,
okay,
and it's about this girl who becomes this like huge idol, singer sensation in Hollywood and the whole thing. And I was like, this is going to be awesome, and it bombed hard. Like, came out 10%. I think I'm not. I think it might have jumped up a little bit since then. So it's at 27 now. But yeah, it hit the ground hard. So I'm anxious to see what that happens. It'll be an HBO show, and I think it should be coming out. The first episode comes out June 4th. So anxious to see that. Came in with a lot of gas. Rachel Sennet's in it, and yeah, it looks like it really flopped. It can. So
well, I think that's honestly better though, because I would rather see a movie that does incredibly well or a movie that does extremely bad, so you can see what went
yeah.
wrong, what happened. The movies in the middle are the ones where I'm like, oh, this is just so boring. I've seen this before. It's made well, but there's nothing else. So either end of the scale, but hopefully it's good for you. I might check that one out. I'm not a big TV person, but definitely interested.
Neither am I. But yeah, this is like for whatever reason, like this is kind of I've had my finger on this one. So
Gotcha. Next, though, I just saw this recently. Old Boy is getting a remaster re-release in theaters
wow.
this summer. I don't know if you've seen the movie Old Boy, but I love the movie Old
Yeah, Old Boy's been one of those. It's like always like kicking around like on the back burner of like my watch list, where it's just always like, oh, tonight's
Boy.
not the
Oh,
night to watch Old Boy. But like I know I love it. I know I'd love to see it. So I'm almost excited now. I've waited this long
dude,
so that I can go
wait
watch
to
it in
see it
the
in
theaters for the
theaters.
first time.
Yes,
Yeah,
wait and
that's
see it in
honestly
theaters.
since moving to LA, that's kind of what I've done with a lot of like the big movies on my watch list. Is like there's so many repertory theaters here too that even if a movie's not getting a re-release, like there's a good chance like sometime throughout a year, like all the big hits are going to play like on 35 millimeter film somewhere in LA. So like I still have a bunch of big movies I've never seen, but it's like I've been knocking them off slowly and getting to see them in
That's
the
good.
theater for the first time. So that's been very cool.
Nice. Yeah, I love Old Boy. I would say it was my favorite foreign film before Parasite. And it's incredible. There's good action, there's good story, great acting, as long as you don't mind subtitles, South Korean film. But yeah, definitely put this on your watch list. If you have not seen it, enjoy it now. If you can wait until it comes out for the re-release, watch it then. But yeah, definitely looking forward to that one. Just adding to this summer of movies. And then lastly, just saw this recently. The Iron Claw is a new movie coming out. It follows the story of Von Erichs, a dynasty of wrestlers who made a great impact on the sport from the 60s to present day. And I was in it just for the cast list. We've got Lily James, Zach Efron, Harris Dickinson, who I really liked in Triangle of Sadness last year, Holt
Yep.
McCallney, he's great in Mindhunter, and then Jeremy Allen White from The Bear.
Hell
And
yeah.
the images of this look interesting to say the least. And I'm just interested to see where it goes, what it does. Sean Durkin directing. He's made some movies before, nothing really big, but yeah, I'm interested in seeing this one.
Yeah, yeah, can't wait. Yeah, the God, the like the pictures coming out of Zac Efron on set are just
Yeah.
crazy. And the dude's just yoked, and then he like, yeah, like you said, interesting. I can't even like form words about it. It's just like
Yes.
it's gonna be fascinating. A24 is putting it out. I love
I
Jeremy
love
Allen
it.
White. Loved him from
Thank God
Shameless.
for
So
it.
yeah, excited to see him like his career really start to take off now. And yeah, I think this could be a big one.
Yep. 100%. And we're going to be doing something a little bit different this week instead of a wheel spin. So, as I'm sure you have heard and know, I am very excited for the next Mission Impossible. So, over the next 6 weeks, we will be covering each and every Mission Impossible leading up to the new one. If it works out perfectly, I think Fallout's review will come out the day before the new one. So, we're going to be covering those for the next couple weeks. But we are going to be wrapping up here at the end. I would just want to thank Reese for jumping on with me this week. Thank you so much for jumping in. Had some people drop out and he picked it up. Always a great time to have some conversations about movies with you, man. If you guys are enjoying any of the things you're seeing here, please feel free to leave a like, subscribe to the channel. If you have any comments on the things we've talked about, want to add to our discussion, drop that below. And hopefully I will see you guys next week.